Welcome to Love to Hate Watch. This is a podcast where we discuss movies, TV shows, and other pop culture that is compelling, but usually in the worst way possible. Me and my co-host Vicky Stone will discuss the subject matter and come to the conclusion whether it is love, love to hate, or just hate. Come join us as we try to find redeeming qualities in whatever we have subjected ourselves to watching. Hello everyone. Today we will be discussing Outbreak and all of its 90s glory. The recording that we have kind of starts mid-flow, so I just wanted to record this quick intro and hope you are all enjoying the podcast and getting something out of it. First off, as we were just discussing before, it is a classic 90s intro, 90s feel to a movie. Obviously, it was mid-90s sort of movie, so you would expect...
Super 90s, though, very 90s.
It's very nostalgic, and the fact that you look at it from the start and you're like, 2 hours long. But actually,
it zips by.
It moves along at a fairly good pace.
there were a few bits that maybe could have ended there, but yes, I mean, zips by. It's very of a time, because I think it's a lot of the kind of plot holes that might pop up. Now, I just, when I watched it, I thought, what would somebody who wasn't alive, because they do exist, unfortunately, who are, fairly, like, young adults now, or slightly older adults who are watching it, who've never seen it before and never really experienced a kind of mobile connected world like we are in now, because I think they would look at it and go, well, this can't happen. What? Like, that's what dates it, I think, in a lot of ways. But it's very enjoyable. I don't think it's a hate watch and a kind of loving hate watch. It's not it's not a slog on your time like last week was, which it really bloody was.
Oh yeah, that was
as I was watching it, because we have one of our co-stars from the last week's movie in this as a problem, but it's like worlds apart. It's like worlds apart. Much better this week from Morgan.
Oh well, actually, I mean, couple of the speeches that he
still plays a git, but yeah.
The one the end, you're like, that's Morgan Freeman to a T. Like, that's Morgan Freeman voice.
It's his presidential address that. From Deep Impact, like, I think, isn't he the president in Deep Impact? It's very much queuing him up for that's in his show reel for Deep Impact, going, hi me. But anyway, so the thing that I was looking into to start with, because obviously this has kind of come back into prominence. Outbreak has come back to prominence because of our pandemic. People have watched this now. Obviously, it's not as our pandemic is awful, but it's not as violently bloody as this particular pandemic is. So it partly became, again, because everyone was watching this and Contagion, which is a lot more realistic as to what we're all going through right now. Again, a little bit more extreme than what we're going through, but it probably doesn't feel like that. I thought I looked it up, it was the most watched movie with Contagion on Netflix in like March 2020. And that's when I watched it again. And this is why I've recommended it, because I don't think you did. So I thought, you should revisit it. And I didn't mind rewatching it. So that's also another, vote of confidence in it. I was like, we'll watch this again. There's things to like and laugh at. Wolfgang Peterson popped up. He's the director. And I was like, yeah, I know him. I wonder what else he did. And I had a look through, not that many movies, but it was obviously a German director, but it was Das Boot. Remember, well, you might not have seen it. Das Boot was the submarine movie, the German submarine movie, which kind of in the 1980s. So that was his first kind of, it was his first big hit outside of Germany, but it was obviously in German. And then he did some crackers like In the Line of Fire with our old friend, the Mule, Clint Eastwood. And then it was like Air Force One, which again, I watched in the pandemic for the first time. I really liked it. Like, awesome Harrison Ford movie, bit ridiculous, bit silly, but this is kind of similar. And then I looked and I was like, what else did he do? So he kind of did he did The Perfect Storm and Troy, which neither of those two I liked.
I know, but Troy was quite good. I quite like Troy.
Well, yeah. But he also did, and this is a bit of a kind of left field choice, but The Never-Ending Story. Do you remember that?
Never-Ending Story.
Yeah, exactly.
Nicole seems to
I never liked that. Labyrinth for me. Labyrinth, always. Never-Ending Story. I don't know if maybe they weren't at the same time, but similar kind of fantasy themes, and yeah, not for me. So that, go figure. Hey ho, there he comes. It comes into it, but it's a it's an interesting movie, and I think it's definitely worth us talking about. So it starts off with a very different thing, doesn't it? It's a war beginning. It's like military. It looks like Apocalypse Now or something.
I mean, from my memories, I watched it, so I must have been about 10 or 11. And in terms of the insane scenes, I completely forgot about some of the stuff that happened. I vaguely remember the monkey stuff and all that jazz and people dying, and the cinema scene. For some reason, I remembered that quite vividly.
I didn't until I watched it, but it's a good scene, and it's even more now in the light of all the
sneaky virus just infected everyone.
The other thing to remember is at the time, the kind of cover of the movie, or the film poster of the movie, had the monkey quite prominently, and the monkey is the same monkey that's the monkey Marcel in Friends, who's Ross's pet for a few periods. They're the same monkey. It's the same monkey. And so I have dubbed this movie Outbreak.
That pet owner was making bank for the mid-90s.
Jesus, I mean, he put his kids through college with that monkey. But anyway, I've subtitled this movie throughout, and actually I think it bears fruit if you watch it. Marcel's Revenge. Okay, so it's Outbreak, ... Marcel's Revenge. So just keep that in mind. Whenever the monkey comes on, Marcel's getting his revenge.
What's the chronological order when Ross gives away the monkey Marcel to the zoo? Does he get it after the outbreak? So his friends post
outbreak. Because the monkey doesn't die in the end, spoiler alert. So why not? Yeah. Hey, you've had a hard life. Why not go and live in New York in a lovely loft apartment with six lovely adults? But Marcel's Revenge. So keep that in mind, because he features in the first kind of scene of the movie, which is kind of like, I want to be Apocalypse Now, with the bombs, and all the monkeys are in the trees, not happy that there's kind of men are in the forest and messing up their shit.
Yeah, we open up in the past, 1967 in Mozambique, and as you said, a big army and a war, kind of guerrilla warfare by the look of it. Lots of explosions, and we see, I think it's Donald Sutherland and Morgan Freeman, but you don't
know they are. But as soon as you hear Donald bloody Sutherland's voice creepily kind of creeping around the medical bays going, yes, don't worry, you can tell yourself, you know it's Donald Sutherland. Very Hunger Games, like, what's the guy, President Snow kind of like vibes from this whole movie.
If I'm honest, they obviously got they were both wearing kind of full hoods, hazmat suits, so you can't see them.
Really dark, not like the ones that Dustin and Rene wear later on. You can't see their faces.
I would rather that than have to do the de-aging kind of software that they do nowadays, because at least then you don't have to have that uncanny valley where you're looking at something you're like,
the Irishman throughout the last 3 hours of going squinting, going, yeah, I can kind of see it, but ooh,
get a person that looks like you but just a bit younger. It's just don't do
the thing is, I guess, with it, Donald Sutherland and Morgan Freeman have both got such distinctive voices that it'd be difficult to get somebody to do a sort of younger. You could get someone who's a good impressionist, I suppose, but it would be quite hard,
just dub them, it'll work, post edit.
Like kind of Darth Vader time. Right, okay.
So they take samples of this horrendous virus. There's lots of people.
Killing all the troops. They're all dying.
They're all dying. And they go, oh, Jesus. And there's an American soldier that's like, get me out of this shithole. And Donald Sutherland, who is cartoonishly evil.
Right, yeah.
Oh, he's just so ridiculously evil, like with no logic sometimes.
No, there really isn't. No.
He takes the sample, which goddamn know that they're just doing it to get the virus out of there. And they say, yep, we'll drop your supplies. And I've got the clip.
Okay, let's watch that.
Do you want me to do the clip?
Yeah, because it's the face of the doctor. He thinks that it's saving him, and then he realizes first, and it's just heartbreaking. They're bastard. There it is. Oh, you motherfuckers.
Oh no! Clearly not a box.
Boom goes the dynamite. I mean,
explosive start, Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, so here we go. Yeah, but I mean, you're right. Couldn't they have? If they wanted to be really if they to avoid any rogue person on the edge of the military base running into the jungle to escape the blast, you'd think they'd be like, oh yeah, We'll put it in a box, conceal it, put medical supplies on the front, and not kill man.
I didn't think, and it comes towards the end of the movie, and we'll come to that, but they obviously go on about the particular bomb that's a non-nuclear bomb, like most powerful bomb that we have, non-nuclear. That looks decidedly nuclear, and that was 1967. So how long have they had such an explosive bomb? I'm taking it they had it all the way back in 1967, because it obviously wipes them all out. Like, not a trace of them.
Absolutely, and there's just no. And then it sort of breaks into present day. But watching the kind of aftermath of the bomb, the only creatures that have survived this blast are the monkeys, and Marcel's like, "You bastards, you bombed my village. I'm coming to get you." No, it's probably, well, who knows, Marcel's grandmother or something.
It must be. Yeah, it must be. So we get introduced both to the level of labs, so they go right the way through from 1 to 4.
That's quite complex. I mean, like, you really, like, I guess it's to kind of heighten the whole thing about the need to wear suits that are completely, pressurized, and you don't take any of the air from the atmosphere of these labs, I guess, which comes into play later. The one thing I would say is the cast starts to be put up on the screen. It was jarring to see Kevin Spacey's name. When I watched it again, I've completely forgotten he was in it, which is weird because he won awards for this. But but also Kevin Spacey is quite problematic now. But in this, I think I would say he plays. When you watch Kevin Spacey's performances now, I guess you're watching it through a kind of prism of what's happened. But also, he actually plays the same. When you think about it, all of his characters are slightly creepy or super creepy or like super psychotic, really. He plays, I think that's just him, like throughout this, he's kind of got a weird edge to him, which you're not quite sure what his game is at points. I don't know if that was a choice or what, but I don't know whether it's because I'm watching it now knowing what we know about Kevin Spacey, or whether he just plays a creep.
Yeah.
They all love him. I mean, they all love him in this. I mean, they're all like, "Oh, you're my best pal. I tell you everything," and all this. But anyway, for anybody,
I enjoyed the intro because it's so 90s. It's unreal. And there was a couple of I miss Dustin Hoffman. He's a good actor. I know he hams it up in some of the scenes, and he obviously chews the scenery, but he is a good actor. And Morgan Freeman not phoning it in is
it's nice to see. Good. I think actually,
Rene Russo. I've not seen it.
No, I've never been a huge fan of Rene Russo. There's a kind of like group of actresses that are kind of not. It's wrong to say interchangeable, but they're often like and she's quite a reliable actress. But like there are other actresses of that kind of generation that I prefer. Actually, I don't mind her in this. She's actually all right, so it's probably the one Rene Russo movie that I quite like, probably because she's close to death throughout half of it, but she's all right. Dustin Hoffman, I guess, as well, is slightly problematic in some of the things he's been reportedly got up to in the past as well. But yeah, he is good in it. He talks very freaking quickly all throughout it, but then also very slowly in places, which kind of emphasizes the point a little bit. But yeah, he's a rogue. He's a rogue epidemiologist. Dr. Fauci, he's got nothing on him. No. He runs around the world solving diseases and clearing things within seconds. I mean, like, knowing the thing is, I guess in the 90s, without coronavirus and the knowledge that we now have just from watching the news about epidemiology and how long it takes to genome sequence and to like create vaccines and stuff, you would watch it and think, oh yeah, that checks out. Yeah. The speed at which they do things is crazy.
Yeah, to be fair, and to give it its due, and obviously you find out all of this stuff towards the end of the movie. So basically, the bomb that happened was a cover-up. Donald Sutherland and Morgan Freeman are the cover-uppers of the conspiracy. Yes. They have this biological weapon, which is this horrendous virus, which we find the name. I've got it in my notes somewhere. What was it called again? The actual virus name?
It's the Matoba River or something. Yeah, Matoba. Yeah, it looks like a...
Matoba?
Under the microscope, it just looks like a wonky dick. To be fair, like they can't really avoid seeing it. And then the next strain looks like a spikier, wonkier dick. But I couldn't.
No, you spoil it. Don't spoil it now because there's a brilliant scene with Kevin Spacey, with Dustin Hoffman, where it goes through the vents and he just goes.
No. I hope we've got that. Have we got that? No. We've got that to share.
We've got that. So we meet all of the main protagonists pretty quickly, all in a cycle. So Hoffman, Russo, Morgan Freeman,
Spacey,
and then the level 4 virus has been found. So the virus that they bombed and tried to wipe out is now re-emerged in Zaire, and Dustin Hoffman's been sent away. Now, it was a bit weird because at the first, I completely forgot that Rene Russo and Dustin Hoffman were supposed to be
divorcees, divorced partners,
divorced characters. And at no point really do you find out why they ever got divorced, because there's nothing but kind of like,
it's really quite good banter. They're still talking, but I guess the thing, it seems to me as though he kind of isn't very reliable. That's what I kind of got from it. Like he was kind of always off somewhere solving some world disease problem, but not really got much time for her.
She's there with him most of the time.
That's what I thought. But also, can I just say, as a dog owner myself, they have 2 dogs, big dogs. And I worry for them, because if they're hot jet setting around the globe solving disease problems, those poor dogs are not even going to see them. And it shows from some of their behaviour, but we'll talk about that later. So you get a little bit of a spar outside the Lab 4, like going, so you kind of get the idea that, is it your last day? Yeah, it's my last bloody day. Yeah. So they seem like she's happy to go and he's happy to get shot of her at that point. But, it is what it is. So then it cuts to talking of the dogs, it cuts next to Dustin's house and you don't see him. It tracks through the hallways and all you hear him saying is, "Oh yeah, you like that, don't you? You dirty," and you're thinking, what's going on here? It turns out he's washing the dogs in the bath. And the phone goes. So then I think I think they're sharing and saying, you got to go to Zaire. Yeah. But also, when he comes off the phone, the dogs are on the couch all wet and soapy. Yeah, shut the fucking bathroom door, Dustin, and they wouldn't get out of the freaking bathroom. Dogs are going to follow you, my friend. But you maybe don't know that because you've been too busy in bloody Mozambique, Zaire, and everywhere else. Anyway.
So they get to the Zaire. So Rene Russo and Dustin Hoffman have a scene where they transfer the dogs, and Rene Russo goes, "Oh, cool, you better be back on time." And obviously he's not.
Of course he's not.
So we meet Kevin Spacey with what I can only say is a bad dye job. It's kind of gingery, sort of blonde, blonder than Kevin. Probably my hair is, but it's just the worst
it's like
dye job.
We need to talk about Kevin to go on the film. It's a kind of, it's clearly dyed because I've never seen him ginger in anything else, so I don't think it's a natural hair color. But it looks that kind of rusty kind of way. And it's immediately jarring. It's like, why do we care what color his hair is? Is it in the book that it was written, that it was like scripted from? Do we really need to have you ginger? Not really. Maybe something else went on there. There was maybe
they wanted like Kevin Costner or someone like that in that role. They wanted someone with kind of like dirty blonde sort of hair, and Kevin
he's definitely
Spacey
dirty, but he's not blonde. So he's like devil may care in the aircraft, eating a chocolate bar, and then we see Cuba Gooding Jr.
I've got the intro to Cuba Gooding Jr., who is...
I have a few comments. I don't know if you caught the bit with Kevin Spacey and him before he sort of launches into who he is, but anyway, let's go.
I mean, this is before Jerry Maguire.
Yes,
Gooding Jr.
So but after Boys in the Hood and stuff like that. So he was famous, but not...
Is it before? So I kind of predicted. I thought that this was kind of maybe it's one.
No, he's older than he was in Boys in the Hood. He was young, he was young in Boys in the Hood.
Sir, may I say what an honor it is to have this opportunity to work with you in the field, sir.
Well, your background's first rate. West Point, John Hopkins, helicopter flight school. How many hours have you logged?
85, sir.
Married?
Yes, sir.
Good luck. You've never been on the field.
No, sir, but I'm fully trained and highly motivated, sir.
No, I'm talking about landing in a hot zone. It's a unique situation. Have you ever seen the effects of hemorrhagic fever?
No, sir.
Allow me, sir. Major?
Yes, ma'am.
And we also see example of...
There's a rusty top himself. Now, note, please, you missed the bit off, doesn't matter. There's a bit, he's eating a chocolate bar there. Do you see the chocolate bar? Yes, before we went off. Now, he's eating the chocolate bar. So before that speech is launched into by Cuba Gooding Jr., at one point, Kevin Spacey offers the chocolate bar to Cuba Gooding Jr., and I just was like, No, we don't know where your mouth's been, Kevin. Like, so, no, what I was saying about the chocolate bar, yeah, we don't know quite. I was like, oh, no, we don't know where your mouth's been. No, we don't want your chocolate bar. Thank you very much. Clearly he's like, oh, yes, I've read all the books. I know all the things. I'm ready to see hemorrhagic fever. I can't even say it, let alone spell it, as I found out last night when I was writing my notes. You're aware that clearly we're coming up to some kind of a vomit in the mask moment / pull the mask off, Cuba, already. And then we sort of find ourselves in the village in Zaire, which basically looks like a scene from Cannibal Holocaust at this point. Like, it's literally like dead bodies burning everywhere, and it doesn't look good. There's just fire everywhere. I know they're trying to burn the bodies, I guess, and the witch doctor's on the hill, and he's seen it all before, and you sort of think, is the witch doctor going to come and give some pearls of wisdom? But no, we end up in the medical unit, so people who are still technically alive just...
the couple of things, and you're right, the scene is ridiculous. But when the African kind of doctor comes up and goes, 100% mortality rate, and I said, hang on a second, 100%, even Ebola has, I think it's about an 86 to 90% mortality rate. I'm like, there must be some natural immunity to some of these.
Not in that village, there isn't. Not in that village. It was just a boy who was working with the white man and brought it back and drank the well, and then he was dead, and then everybody was dead. The bit that makes Cuba Gooding puke in his mask is the bit when he draws back the curtain to the little boy crying with blood all over his face. Sorry, I'm laughing. It's not funny at all. And the two dead parents at the back of him, he's like, woo, woo, woo. And then obviously then he pulls the mask off, and he's like, Dustin goes mental. He's like, no, he's been breaching. Quarantine him. Like this,
I said, Cuba Gooding Jr. can't take it. Totally gonna die. Because I'm watching this as a person that doesn't remember who actually
in the first scene kind of killed. Yeah, absolutely.
He's totally dying. But obviously the African doctor comes and goes, it's not airborne.
It's not airborne, guys. You're all good. But that will become significant towards the middle of the movie. But yeah. So the witch doctor...
Bad juju.
Bad juju. The juju man says no. He's coming nowhere bloody near it. So he's no help at all, other than to look kind of disapprovingly on the scene. And then they sort of... The other thing is, then they leave promising help. But they leave, and it looks as though the village is pretty much on fire. And I'm kind of like...
The village is dead. No, but too late.
They're not airlifted the doctor man out of there. So what's going on? I'm like, is it a good idea to leave a village on fire in the middle of the rainforest? Probably not.
We'll come on to starting of forest fires later, because Dustin Hoffman does two things in this movie that I'm like, that's a real asshole move. So there is
he does.
I've noted down to go, all right, that's not so good, Dustin. You don't know the consequences of that one. So,
well, anyway, Marcel pops up just at the end there, and he's coming.
Yeah, he's coming. So you think it's contained, or at least they consider it contained because it kills people so quickly and it's 100% mortality rate. But the foreshadowing of Marcel being there and those goddamn Chinese spreading their viruses, but it's not Chinese in the end. It's a Korean ship that take the monkey.
Is it not Thai? I thought it was Thai.
No, they're Korean. Thai. Come on, get it right. Stop being so racist.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm sure when they get to the shipping people with Mrs. Perfidus or whatever her name is, I'm sure they're Thai. Anyway, yes, okay, Korean then. But see, it's not really their fault. Well, it is their fault, but it's kind of, it's the West's obsession for exotic pets that I blame for this movie. This outbreak, the people of Cedar Creek should be looking at those rich people who want to have tigers and monkeys in their freaking houses. I blame Ross Geller. That's who I blame. Bloody Ross Geller saying, yeah, send me that bloody monkey. Yeah, hurry up and catch it in Zaire. It's all Ross Geller's fault.
Well, I mean, so the monkey gets captured in what can only be described as an illicit pet catching scheme with a 90s grunge biker as the dealer of monkeys.
No, so right. Bizarre. You do know who that is, don't you? So that is Patrick Dempsey, who is a famous actor
he's
who was
quite a
in
good-looking
Grey's
guy.
Anatomy.
Oh, yeah.
No, so Patrick
I didn't
Dempsey
know
is
it was him,
McDreamy. McDreamy. I never watched Grey's Anatomy, but McDreamy is his moniker. But it's the greasiest hair and the scuzziest clothes, and he's just useless. And there's the whole bit. So he's obviously in some illicit pet smuggling thing with a pet store owner who basically smuggles to order for this pet shop owner, or so he thinks. So he smuggles out Marcel, and the person at the gate knows about it because he's in on it as well. Luckily, because he's the only one left alive in a minute. But basically, if an exotic animal spat in my mouth, I would be quite concerned that there might be some consequences to that. But basically, the worst grungy rock music I've ever, and I love grungy rock music, but it's so tuneless. And the monkey,
unfortunately, it does date the movie quite a bit.
The monkey is literally like, shut the fuck up, I'm going to spit on you. And he's like, oh, I thought music was supposed to soothe animals. Spit. So the monkey spits in his mouth as he turns around to speak. And I kind of think, yeah, you fucking deserve it. Sorry. So so he goes to the pet shop, doesn't he, to speak to the pet shop owner. And it turns out that Marcel is Marcella. So, and they don't want a girl, they want a boy monkey to breed with. So it's no good. Meanwhile,
all I do is note when people are dead, but they haven't died yet. So as soon as the spit happened, I was like, he's dead. And the pet store owner, when he gets scratched, it's like, he's dead.
And we have some banana theft in this movie. So there's a banana that Marcel was eating, and the other monkey in the pet store reaches across through the cage, takes the banana, and goes, great, yeah, this is a victimless crime. Eats the banana, let alone not thinking that the banana is clearly infected with some horrible strain of hemorrhagic fever. So that's how they leave it. So basically, Dempsey can't sell his monkey. So, like the responsible man he is, he decides to go to the forest and let it go. On you go. Bye bye, Marcella. We hardly knew ye. Kind of thing.
Obviously he's making a fair amount from this deal because...
Well, not for hair products, he's bloody not.
He's flown out to do this deal and then to come back. But as we see the 90s grunge man McDreamy, or I think yes, McDreamy is
not very McDreamy by the time he gets on that flight.
Not feeling, and he did this typical tease in 90s movies, and you got kind of a little bit immune to it after a while, where they kind of tease that a child is going to be harmed in the movie to create tension, but they never kill the child. They never, ever. I don't know whether you picked up on this. So Patrick Dempsey, the 90s grunge man, is on the plane looking very, very ill, and he's half eaten a cookie, and there's basically a little kind of boy that's walking along the aisles in a cowboy suit.
Don't do it, Sheriff.
Comes to take the cookie, and it's like, oh, it's just about to take it, and then no, it gets snatched away. But that's such a 90s trick of a movie where they do that kind of like, oh no, the little boy's going to eat it and he's going to get infected. But it does not happen. And
so
he gets
whilst all the flying's going on and the sheriff becomes very close to death, I suppose maybe even 90s movies couldn't have the sheriff die, the wee sheriff boy dying, I don't know. But meanwhile, they're back in the lab and they're showing the kind of degradation of cells the damage that this virus can do from the samples they took in Zaire. And it's like your proper science moment of like, oh no, that's in 8 hours. And it's like destruction. So basically, it's going to kill everything in its path. So good, thank goodness it's been contained in Zaire, everybody. Oh, phew, everybody, take a breath. Now, also, another dog point. There's a whole scene here where Rene has been waiting for Dustin to get back, if you remember. And he said Thursday, but it's now Sunday, and she's fucking pissed off. So there's a question here. She's going for a new job at the CDC, which is the Centre for Disease Control in Atlanta. So she wasn't going to take the dogs, but because he never came back, she's packing them in a car. Now, different if she's going to drive across the country with the dogs in her car. She's got 1,700 bags that she's packing in the boot. She's shouting at Dustin Hoffman, and she's putting the dogs, big bloody, what are they? They're like Beethoven dogs, into the car. Now, it's a taxi. That is the most understanding taxi driver. There's no way. I couldn't even take B, who's tiny, in a taxi. Also, I don't know if flights are different in America, but I don't see how she's going to get 1,700 bags, 2 huge, great bloody dogs on a flight to Atlanta because she's flying. So that
3, 9, 11 days, you could do anything in the airport.
Did you just pack all your belongings in the hold? I don't. Anyway, so she pisses off. I felt very sorry for the dogs, and then so then it comes. The other thing to note is that once they've done all the sequencing in the lab, Morgan Freeman pops up in the dead of night to check the virus. Does the virus match the 67 virus that they've destroyed and kept for themselves?
Of course it does.
Of course it does.
Well, there's 2 people that are very deserving to die in this movie. I know there's only really a couple that actually deserve to die. So one is the girlfriend of Grunge Man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he comes out of the plane looking horrendous. And what does she do? She goes and, like, full on...
Snogs his face off. I mean, it's like...
No, you wouldn't do that. So,
the other thing is she pulls his head back. Before she kisses him, she pulls his head back and goes, "Oh, you look like shit, baby." Like, it's... I think you'd be like, "Oh, get away from me. What have you caught on that plane? Jesus." Even before the pandemic, you would be like, "Oh, no, you need to... we'll have a kiss later when you're feeling better."
So she deserves to die. And then the man, the lab man working the centrifuge, who is half reading something, listening, then he's just like...
Well, the reason why he's doing it. Well, the other thing is obviously the pet store man. Remember the one you've marked for death? He dies. He dies, as he falls into the fish tanks in his pet shop. So I was like, well, bye bye man and bye bye fish. So he's in the hospital. All the doctors clearly don't know that it's something horribly virulent. So they're like breathing all over him and come on, breathe, like probably doing like mouth to mouth resuscitation. And the blood sampling man is taking the blood, and they do it in the centrifuge, as you said. Yeah, and he's not watching. He's listening to some horse race, I think, and he sort of sticks his hat. Yeah, real safe fucking procedures in that lab. He deserves it too, to be honest.
He deserves it, and he is the bastard because he's the main vector for the rest of the movie. He's the one
for Cedar Creek. I mean, he is. So, he's the reason why Cedar Creek drops like flies. The bad man.
Idiots.
So
I put Jimbo. Yeah, Jimbo is dead, baby.
Well, no, I put. Adieu, Jimbo. We hardly knew ye, which we didn't, but he was impactful in those scenes. Like sometimes when you think about like other kind of pandemic movies, like Contagion, the best part of that movie is when Gwyneth Paltrow dies in the first 10 minutes. Like that's awesome. The best bit when she's like, sorry, I just enjoy watching that part. But the other thing, right? Question. And it might be a plot hole, or maybe I'm just being dense, but at no point, there's no reason why Morgan Freeman can't. I don't understand why they can say, oh, yeah, there might be something in the lab. Like, they don't have to say where they found it. You know, the kind of 67. They could say, she stumbled across it, or help them inadvertently, which he does do in the end. But it's just not like, why can't they, or even if they don't want to tell them about the fact that they found this virus in 1967, why don't they just, they seem determined to get Dustin Hoffman off the case completely, as though that's going to help. Why not just let him, don't tell him, but just why not let him just puttle away in his lab and figure it out himself? Like, that's what I don't get. Like, it's more sus to pull him off the case because he's obviously a nosy, as Donald Sutherland says, a nosy little bastard. Or nosy little son of a bitch. So why not just let him...
It's never established what the consequences of finding out this cover-up would be. It kind of never raises the stakes to go, look, Morgan Freeman, if this gets found out, we're dead. We're going to get shot and, get executed or whatever. But you're right. It feels that isn't established. So really, Donald Sutherland becomes more cartoonishly evil because it just seems like something that he wants to take Dustin Hoffman off because he just doesn't like Dustin Hoffman. And generally, he doesn't like people. I mean, the corporal stuff where he keeps demeaning the corporal, like, his second
General Briggs is about to get his revenge in the end. I mean, it's sweet. He's clearly been having to take his shit for a very long time. So basically, let's talk about the cinema then. So Centrifuge Man is like, oh, I'll be fine. Will I be fine? Will I be okay? And all this. He gets cleaned up. He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Go to the cinema. Buy her a bunch of flowers and all this. Yeah, give her a hemorrhagic fever. See if she enjoys that one. So he goes off to the cinema, coughing and spluttering his guts out, looking like absolute mince. And then basically the droplet scene.
It's just the way that they frame the virus like some sort of masked killer. Because it's almost like they're trying to do like a slasher movie, but that it's an invisible killer, and they do it in such a way that it's like, oh, that sneaky virus is going to get you. So
but isn't that how a lot of like the rhetoric from our government has been? Like it was a bit like that, like it'll catch you, watch out, don't go out after 10 o'clock because that's when it comes out to play. It's a bit because I think as humans we can't understand, like our understanding of it was so limited. I think that that's the only way they felt maybe they could frame it, as a kind of unseen serial killer. But yeah, let's watch, because it's all the more impactful now when we watch it, when we think about coronavirus.
Cedar Creek is dead. It's a very popular viewing of whatever it is there.
I know it sounds like a shit movie, by the way.
Fact. What are they actually watching?
Oh, missed it. I mean, go home, buddy. Go home.
Well, I mean, what? Cover your mouth, for fuck's sake. I mean, it just... Oh,
here come the droplets.
Oh, no.
Hey, are you all right?
Let me get something to drink.
You didn't think he was sick before then? Okay. He's dead. He's dead. She's dead. He's dead. You're dead. And you. Oh, man.
I mean, the way
she reacts a little bit much. I mean, he's just collapsed. He's not like spewed blood in her face. Like, it's just like,
I mean, they're playing it like a zombie outbreak. That was that you wouldn't see that in like a World War Z or something like that. It's just like ridiculous.
I know. So basically, that the centrifuge man has infected the whole of the cinema, because in about 2 hours' time, everyone's shaking and shuddering and fitting on the floor like some kind of Baptist revival church in the hospital. And Marcel is roaming the forests of San Francisco or somewhere nearby, looking for food and eating pine cones and going, I will get my revenge.
I mean, Centrifuge Man is really the evil bastard in this movie. I mean, he is... Well,
it's all just idiotic. Yeah, I know, absolutely. But they don't know what... I mean, in their defense, at this point, they don't have a clue what it is. So they think, it's fine.
Right, I'm doing a...
Yeah, the guy dying.
The guy that's died really
violently died.
Terrible things. Maybe I'll just
stay in the hospital.
Maybe tonight, darling. I'm not feeling too good. Stay in for tonight. No.
You enjoy the movie that we can't remember what it was that we were going to watch. And you always know, because at that point the CDC, we're back at the CDC with Rene, and they're all high-fiving each other because no one on the plane's got it, baby. But actually, the facts that it's about to come through, baby, is going to fuck you up all through the night. So basically, I thought when that scene happened, I thought it was going to be a bit like various movies, like The Farm, when the fact comes and like rolls under the table and they don't see it for a whole day, which in fact would be the end of the movie because they'd all be dead. But so she's like, yeah, high five, we did it, woo! Oh shit. So we're back, and she's about to go down to Cedar Creek.
Look, there's a couple of things. The celebration cut.
And then the cover-uppers
tries to get rid of Dustin Hoffman to a completely different place.
He's not going to go. But also the cover-uppers, Donald Sutherland and Morgan Freeman, have their first kind of free conversation about what's kind of going on. And you can sort of see that Morgan Freeman, although he's doing the bad thing, he's not feeling good about it. Whereas Donald Sutherland doesn't have 1 second of compunction about what he's doing.
Put it this way, Donald Sutherland is already talking about bombing that town.
Oh yeah, clean sweep is already operating. It's already a go. Yeah, yeah. I've got the plan. I've had it for 30 years. It's fine. I've always known this was going to come, and I was looking forward to it. So
Army's not there. Hasn't even checked the situation.
They haven't even spoken to the president. Just bomb it. You know what we have to do. It's only 2,000 people. It's all good. But also, you know, he's not going to go to Mexico to look at whatever virus is going on there. So good luck, Mexico. By the way, he's clearly going to get to Cedar Creek by hook or by crook. The next scene that transpires is the dopiest naval or I don't know, Air Force officer. He's the one in that little office going, oh, you're not supposed to go. And he's like, bring him. No, don't bring him. Well, he doesn't. Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman gets a man fired. Let's be serious. He makes him change the flight destination for Dustin Hoffman so he can get to Cedar Creek instead of going to wherever he was going to send to in Mexico. And that poor man will have lost. He bamboozles
him. I know. He bamboozles him with his quick speak, right? So he kind of goes, don't do this. No, don't do that. Do this. Don't do it. And then he's like, put your finger on that phone. Put your finger on that phone. And his last words to him as he walks out the door is, finger it. All night. I was just like, oh my God. Okay, Dustin. But yeah, so the hold mode for clean sweep is happening. So he's already got it all lined up, ready to give to the president as a kind of option. So he's got to get down to Cedar Creek quick, old Dustin, to try and solve the problem.
Well,
but it's not going well.
He does, and it's probably my favourite scene of the movie that comes through next, because it's probably the one that was in the trailer, possibly all of them. Before
we do, I know what you're going to talk about, and we're going to watch it as well. But the bit with the troops all arrive in Cedar Creek before he gets there and put up this cordon. It's the worst cordon ever. Which will be proven in a little bit, but it's just like, let's put some barbed wire around a few bits of the roads, but it doesn't do anything, as we will see later. But I know we now Dustin gets to the hospital. Rene Russo's already been there for a while. She's done an autopsy, which she's not been able.
No. So no, Dustin Hoffman was already there before her.
He's always been there. He's always been there. He
follows the virus.
The trees. He's the whisper in your ear. He's here. He's there. He's everywhere. Yes, that's true.
So everyone's caught it.
They're all in one room thinking solve the problem.
But there is someone that's been in a coma who wasn't at the cinema and now has the virus. So suddenly Dustin Hoffman goes.
Let's see.
Apparently they all got it at a movie theater.
No, they didn't, Dustin.
Dr. Daniels?
Yeah.
There's something I think you should see. The patient was admitted a week ago after a car accident. He's had no contact with anyone.
Someone's going to get sued. Oh dear. He would. Oh wait, it's meant to go Matrix. Out the air vents. They smell the fart acting. 101.
That sneaky goddamn virus.
It's got in the vents.
It's all right, honey. Bleed out on the floor.
He walks quick.
It's airborne.
So, also, for a man who makes up a meal of fingerets and various different lines, he kind of does it. He goes, "It's airborne." You think he'd be like, "It's airborne." Like a bit more. I'm only kidding. It's supposed to be like the kind of calm centre in the storm, but it goes all sort of Matrix on us there with the zipping through the air ducts kind of thing. Yeah, I'd be really.
I don't understand why he would have. Like, obviously for dramatic effect, that he's run from the one room to
he
the
runs
room
fast.
with all the virus.
I tell you what,
why can't he have just looked at the AC and gone,
shut that bad? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Now I'm going to follow the sound all the airborne. No. I don't know. But obviously we are so stupid as an audience, we need the visual of the air ducts to truly understand how it can have gone airborne. So the other thing I don't get is, well, I suppose nowadays I do with people, going out on lockdown protests and whatever. Why are there so many people in the streets? If I was like, there's some weird bloody virus that's killing everybody really quickly, stay in the house, man. You wouldn't be going out with your bloody... There's a woman at the hospital shaking her baby going, oh, I want to go. Yeah, that's really good. To bring your fucking infant child, your immune deficient infant child out to get the virus. That's great. So basically, then they have a sort of whiteboard discussion, which I find quite entertaining.
Trying to track the path of
track it. Which I find quite gratifying. I like a good whiteboard conversation. I enjoy them in police procedurals and things. So it's quite a good one where they sort of realise that there's two different strains to this. There's the Cedar Creek variation, and there's the original Mataba virus.
Yeah.
But the monkey, Marcel, has both strains, baby.
Well, they go through that. I mean, there's a couple of scenes where obviously Morgan Freeman is told that it's airborne, and obviously he knows that they've got the Mataba one. They've got a cure for it, and they go, "Oh, Mataba."
Stick that one in the hospital in the DL.
As soon as the airborne one, Morgan Freeman's face like, "No, it's airborne." So he's shocked. In terms
he's shooketh. He's definitely shooketh. Yeah, he is. But there's the whole thing where they're trying to arrest him because he's in the wrong place, and he's like, again, he does his kind of slow word acting. Arrest me now, like this. It's like, okay, Dustin, chill out, man. And Morgan Freeman just lets him do whatever the frick he wants until later on.
Well, you were saying there that the reaction of the townspeople in terms of the virus is a little bit erratic, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's just the movie. They like to put in a couple of action scenes within here.
But this is so that the military people are like, oh yeah, nobody's broken our cordon, it's safe. And I'm like, yeah, someone's about to break your fucking cordon. It's like it's a different movie. It's like the Dukes of Hazzard have come into this movie, and the music. That's the bit that I was talking about before. The music changes, and have you ever watched a TV show called The Prisoner? It's an old thing. It's been parodied lots of different times. Basically, Patrick McGowan's on an island. It's actually Portmeirion in Wales, but it's like they can never leave. Like they know something, they don't know what it is that they know, but they can never leave. All these people, and Patrick McGowan constantly tries to escape. And there's a bit when in The Prisoner, when he gets far enough, this white kind of like orb like rises up and comes to catch him, and like can kill people who are trying to escape, etc. At one point it goes all the theme music goes all dun 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 dun. In a minute you'll see it, and I was like, there's going to be a white ball that rises, like ooh, some military drone thing that comes. I mean, in the end, you know what's going to happen to these people, but shall we watch and see what does happen?
Yeah, let's watch it. I mean, Billy Bob doesn't do. Is
it actually Billy Bob, or is it just you're just making that?
It's something quite archetypal.
So judgmental, Christopher. They're freedom fighters.
It is. It's Bobby. It's Bobby. Sorry, not Billy Bob. Tommy. Bobby.
Get out.
The big bullets.
See? Prisoner.
Well, I actually thought that they were going to go full-on ridiculous and run over the troops to get out of town, but obviously...
So did I, but then they thought, hey, no, hang on, the cordon hasn't been put up at the barn. Let's just run through the barn.
Idiots. So Billy Bob is making haste to
making a break for it out the side of the cordon. Nope, you won't be. There's the helicopters.
Shit! They're bluffing. Keep going. Keep going.
You have entered restricted area. We will fire. This is your last.
Pause it for a sec.
There's
I love it. They've got the full like gamut like military helicopter. They've already said you can't leave. So he's like, oh yeah, they're bluffing. They'll just go, yeah, you've got past us now. On you go. Have fun. Bye bye. As if they're gonna do that, my friend. They're gonna kill you, you idiots.
Do you want me to play on a little bit further?
The inevitable conclusion transpires.
They not only say, oh, I'm going to call their bluff, but they actually attack the helicopter. So let's play on.
Sorry, yeah, they get their guns out, don't they?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like not only
we're gonna bring this helicopter down, man. Yeah, woo!
Ridiculous.
That's Cuba Gooding Jr.'s job.
Damn! Strike! Shoot!
Damn it, people, there's no place to go.
Go, go, go! We're almost there!
What the hell are they trying to do?
Hang on a second. Let's just go back. Let's just pause.
There's one person in the middle of that car who wanted to stop. He was like, no, like, don't go any further. I'm sure there was one of them who was like, yeah, maybe we should stop. He gets shot first in the head.
It's the fact that the mannequins that are in the car are like fixed in the position like a handle.
Yeah. So the Billy Bob and his crew are dead, but the family who joined the kind of entourage to get out of town, they like, we should go back to our house now. That was a nice day out, kids, but it's time to go back. Lockdown's boring, I know, but we best not die.
Yes,
So the cordon jump, I suppose again it's to inject a little bit because it's all getting a bit whiteboardy and labs, and it's in the air vents. So I suppose they're like, we've got to bring some firepower to this. Get the helicopters going for later on, warm them up. So they're dead. And so now
a lot of people now start to get it. There's a lot of heart-wrenching moments with mothers getting pulled away from families, and she's like, I'll be back in an hour.
No, you won't.
No, you won't.
Dead, love. You dead.
You're
You
gonna die.
dead. And also the other thing is, if it's airborne, they'll all be dead anyway because she's been in the fucking house with them. So
That's
it doesn't
what
give
I
her
said.
bloody
I said
cuddle.
the whole family's dead.
They're all
I was
dead.
like,
Don't play your board games. You'll be dead in about 4 hours, my friends, when you play Yahtzee. But yeah, so also, right, 2 things. There is an inordinate amount of helicopters in this town. I mean, really, you only need about 3 to sort out people running away. And I don't know why, but clearly Wolfgang Peterson has got a helicopter contract, or he's got a friend in the helicopter business. He's like, yeah, I can get you loads of helicopters. Also, the mother scene, which you're just talking about, where she has to go, and it's supposed to be like, we are that woman, and it's what would happen to us if we were in that situation. I get it. But the whole point is, if you notice, she gets into this like big military van on her own, and you think, oh, that's how they're doing it for everybody. There's about 20 people on a fucking truck. And I'm like, why does she get the chauffeur treatment to her death, quarantine death? They're all like, oh, just pat you in. I mean, obviously, so you could have that heart-wrenching moment. It maybe would lose some of its dramatic power if you got shoved on the back of a pickup truck. But
I noticed that too. That was ridiculous.
It just baffles me. But basically, and then she gets shipped off to this kind of like tented village. And I was like, in 6 hours, and there's helicopters flying above. And like, in 6 hours of this disease getting there, it's turned into like a Vietnam military hospital like scenario. It's insane. So
they work quick. Yeah.
I think the most ridiculous thing now watching it is that there's supposed to be some kind of media blackout, that nobody knows what's going on. And nowadays, that wouldn't be feasible because, I mean, you'd have to cut all connections to phones because they'd be filming it and sending it out to CNN and everybody else. But yeah, it's just, but you got to remember it's in 1990s, so it's a little bit different back then.
Yeah, they have a wee bit more control. So before we move on to the presidential speech and all that sort of stuff. So Kevin Spacey has a breach when he's working on the virus in his suit.
So he splits his kicks.
Yeah, he's basically dead. So Kevin Spacey, dead. But he's not quite dead yet.
He knows. Also, the other thing, he knows he's got it because he's pulled the arse end out of his suit. And he's like, oh yeah, I just got the willies. I should call it the Sams. I'm like, oh, should you? So at some point he would have had to have taken off that suit in order to get to the hospital to be put into, to get well, no, he doesn't. So from that point on, does he just wear his breech suit all of the time? Because he could have infected anybody if he took it off.
He obviously wears
because
that.
He has one later when he collapses. That must be a different suit, no? I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so he's dead. He's nearly. He might be dead. He's pushing it basically because they haven't found the host animal or anything yet. Yeah. So, it's not good.
We get to Donald Sutherland next. His scenes are always cartoonishly evil, as we said. So he's lining up I put nukes, but obviously they go on to say what bomb it's going to be.
Oh, because that's
So,
okay then, isn't it? Operation Clean Sweep. It's a
Operation
non-nuclear
Clean Sweep.
option. You're all dead, but you're not being nuclearized.
Sweet. And then we get a passionate speech by non-president, even though it should have been the president making this speech about how if we're all going to agree, there's no person that's going to say no. You're going to say it now if you've got any objections.
Can I just say, initially in that scene, when the politicians start to speak, I thought, maybe he's the one with the soul. And he's like, but he's not. All he's saying is, he's like, it'll haunt us forever. But he's like, basically, you need to fucking not argue this. You need to back up the president, because if anyone argues this, then we don't look like we're a united front here. So basically covering his bloody back rather than actually going, I've read the Constitution a few times. Yeah, don't kill your citizens. That would be number one, I think.
It's an interesting choice.
Also, I thought at that point, I put, what would Donald Trump make of Clean Sweep? I was like, they'd be dead by this point. They'd be like, yeah, do it now, hurry up.
It's an interesting choice to not use the president at all. They obviously
they don't.
The kind of substitution for the president being Donald Sutherland and
Morgan Freeman, I suppose,
politician, kind of as the political end, but. Yeah, it's a weird one that they decided not to. I'm guessing it's the fact that they perhaps might have felt there might have been.
We don't want to have him endorsing death.
Yeah, there must have been.
But also, it's kind of like Donald Sutherland is manipulating it all from the background anyway. So whatever the president decides is a manipulated decision. So I suppose it's really on Donald Sutherland as opposed to the president, who's kind of been duped, just like everybody else, I suppose, is the kind of riff that they're going on. So I suppose you don't really need. But I mean, Donald Sutherland is basically like the law. Like he's just like, this is what's happening. So
and they're at the same rank. That's the weird thing, because obviously Donald Sutherland bosses Morgan Freeman about, but they're both colonels. So
are they though? Is he not the ultimate? Because I'm sure he said at one point, Morgan Freeman, I'm your boss to Dustin Hoffman, and I report to my boss, and it sort of suggests that it's Morgan Freeman, but that they were equals at one point, but they're maybe slightly skewed. I don't know, but anyway,
he's just a warmonger in general. That is
he just wants to kill people.
He is just like, it's war.
Collect
Everything
diseases.
Is war. Let's bomb things. That's all he does.
And then we get a pop-up of old Marcel, who has been roaming the woods for a while and has decided to become a peeping Tom at the window of young sleeping girls. So you know now that the wee girl is in quite a lot of danger, but they're going to become great friends, I'm sure. But yeah, at one point as well with Donald Sutherland explaining all of this stuff. I don't know if you've watched the movie JFK, which again, another pandemic rewatch, but Donald Sutherland's in JFK at one point. He's basically the informant. He's like the deep throat of JFK, telling Kevin Costner basically the real story about what happened with the assassination of JFK. But it's very like that. At one point when he's explaining all of the things, I was like, oh, it sounds like he's back in JFK, but he's gone really, really wrong because he's now the baddie rather than the goodie. But anyway, so the monkey's in the woods watching at girls' windows. So we know that we've got to find Marcel quick before he enacts his bloody revenge on young children. So there we go.
Yeah, true. So there's loads of stuff. So that happens.
Oh, the other monkey, the banana stealing monkey, is alive. They gave it the E1101, the cure for the original.
No, I think that's a testament. You think that that's the same monkey that they got from the pet shop?
Yes, because it was dying and they took it away and then they've saved it. That's the whole point, because that was the only monkey. That was the only thing that they have that had the original strain. So that's why. Yes, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
So this is how deep into it I am.
E1011.
E111.
1011 or whatever it is the anti-serum to this virus which they use, and Dustin Hoffman realizes
there's two strains at that point. Yeah,
you bastards have had this cure all the time. You know, I have.
We could have saved everybody.
Yeah, which is basically what it is. So Morgan Freeman knows that the game is kind of up. And
as they discover this, Kevin Spacey decides to explode in a blood-splattered mess. So he's succumbed to the virus within his suit. So now he's in big trouble, and he's having sort of Wizard of Oz hallucinations. And you were there, and you were there. and I have to say, it's quite satisfying to watch him sort of dissolve. It's all right.
Yeah, my notes were in terms of clean sweep and this whole thing. I said, can you imagine if they were doing this now? Trump would be down with clean sweep. That was
Thank
very
you.
note.
It's exactly my thought when clean sweep was being talked about, and I was like, yeah. So as he's having his fits on the bed, Dustin Hoffman's trying to crack freaking jokes. So much so he convulses. Renee Zellweger's has got a bloody a needle and spikes herself in the thumb through her gloves. Well done, Renee, but nevertheless, well done, bloody Dustin.
Dustin is going to find a cure through the power of love.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is the divorce has been forgotten at this point. Now he's like, oh, Jesus, someone's got to look after the dogs. But now he knows that the area is going to be clean swept by Donald Sutherland. He realizes it's a race against time to find the host, to get the cure for the disease,
a load of
Renee.
wild goose. I mean, they could have cut all of this, a lot of this stuff.
Oh, no. But hang on. Without this, we would never have met Mrs. Perfides. You've got to say that is one of the classic little one-scene characters. Well, so hang on,
so
before we play,
but she uses
no, don't spoil it. She's the best. So basically, they now Cuba Gooding Jr. and Dustin. The movie changes into a sort of chase movie to find the clues to get to right. So basically, they figure out. That it's got to. They think it's an animal, but they're not sure where it's come from. So they look at the ship's manifests from the place that the animal was stolen from, and they get a lead, don't they? I think. So they go on a hunt to find out what the animal was, where it is now, which is, I mean, it's a needle in a haystack. There's no way you would actually find it in real life in a month. Marcel would be eating bananas with the wee lassie till it died, to be fair.
I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Dustin Hoffman at this point are fugitives from the law.
Yeah, they basically commandeered a helicopter now by that was the other thing. So there's a whole bit about Cuba Gooding Jr.'s flight experience. And remember on the plane he said, oh, how much flight time have you had? And he's like 84 hours. And so they talk about this again because they're about to hijack a helicopter. And there's a whole bit saying, hang on, let me find it. Basically, yeah, that's it. So basically says the troops are coming. They run out of the hospital and they look for a helicopter. And he says, how much did you do in flight school again? And he goes, oh, yeah, I was always yanking and banking in flight school. And then as he comes up to get the helicopter, the pilot of the helicopter is taking a pee in the restaurant. I don't know where. He's taking a leak. And basically he says, how about you go and give him a hand, Sergeant? And I was like, yeah, all that talk of yanking and banking is giving Cuba ideas. So they steal the helicopter. The man comes out after taking a pee and is like, oh, shit, like that'll teach me for emptying my bladder. And away they go on the kind of mad goose chase to is it the shipping? It's a
so they go
building.
to
San Francisco.
The clip that we're about to play. So they get to San Francisco to find the shipping records,
shipping manifest
to see
animals.
what the anomaly is, to then find the ship. And they basically go, right, we've got the ship, but we don't know where the frick it is. How are we going to find it? And we find someone very useful. And my title of this video is "Unsexy Secretary Uses Sex." So it's such a weird casting.
This is Pananides. We love you so much.
Yeah, ready, sir.
So what?
How are we gonna locate it?
I got a friend in the Coast Guard. I can make a call easy.
How close a friend?
Closer than his wife would like.
Dirty bitch.
So weird.
I love it. Mrs. Pananides gets a couple of shout outs later on as well, and she totally deserves them because she is the boss. She's the boss of the shipping manifest place. She's like literally using all her sexual favors to bloody get what she wants. She's a boss, man. She's awesome. Mrs. Pananides. She's got friends in the Coast Guard.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's an odd scene. It was very jarring. I was like, what the hell?
At this point, we go back to the hospital. Renee is looking like she's had a bad night out and she's looking a bit snotty. So she realizes, shit, I've got this. So it's not looking good. So the race against time becomes all the more personal for Dustin Hoffman. And then this is, right, so they find the ship. They fly the helicopter out to where the ship, because the ship has already set sail to go somewhere else. And, okay, talk me through this, because for me, I don't believe that this is even physically possible to do. like Dustin needs to
the jump from the helicopter.
Dustin needs to get also for the helicopter to be as still as it is whilst he does that jump.
Well, because the boat's still moving. Probably.
Yeah, I know. So Cuba Gooding Jr.'s got to hover, but it's like hovering it still, and he sort of jumps. He said, "I need to get down to the boat. You'll need to land on the boat." And he's like, "I can't land on the boat." And he's like, "Right, you'll have to jump." And it's like, "Oh, okay, break your ankles. That'll really help the search." Excellent. And then he sort of somehow jumps onto the side, the rescue boat, kind of the lifeboat at the side. But again,
what is it, Nicole?
That's us back again. I paused it. Don't worry. We only got a modicum of your argument there, so it's fine. Don't worry. You don't have to edit around too much of that. So yeah, I just the whole ship thing. I get it because they have to get a picture of the monkey, which is again in itself ridiculous. So they get on the boat. Somehow they manage to sort of the language barrier with the guys on the boat. Speaking English, I am doctor. And they're like, "Oh yeah, doctor." So as soon as they says the word doctor, they take him to see a dead body down in the cargo hold or wherever it is, all like cling filmed up. Yeah. Maybe should have reported the fact that the guy had died, like when they landed, but maybe that he hadn't died at that point.
Yeah. By that point, yeah.
So they go, and no one else is sick. So because it's clearly the first strain, so it wasn't airborne at that point. They do this bit. So they search his quarters and they look in his locker, and he's got photographs of his girlfriend in the locker. And then Dustin, for some stroke of luck, looks up and sees that they all have photos like stuck on the ceiling and like on the underneath of the bunk, so they can look at pictures of their loved ones whilst they sleep, right? So what does the man have as a sexy picture for bedtime as well as his girlfriend? You see a little, if you look at the clip, there's a kind of like a sexy picture of the girlfriend in kind of the edge of the frame, but basically it's a Polaroid of Marcel, because that's whose true love really was. So they now have a picture of the host. So we are one step further forward to getting the news out there.
So, and that's exactly what they do. They then cordon off a news station to basically broadcast live.
I love it. No one stops them. There's no security in any sense. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just where's the camera? Okay.
Like, those are the fugitives, and they're like, yeah, just let them go on live. It'll be good ratings. And they basically get the picture and the number that they need to call. And fortunately for
the women, the mother of the wee girl happens to be watching the TV
the picture with the little girl and the monkey. It's just like, that's it, that's the monkey.
Because the wee girl's been doing drawings of her time with the monkey, and she thinks it's just an imaginary monkey, but it is not. So so it's cue plate drop at that point in the kitchen when she's cleaning up, and she's like, ah, as she runs out to get the daughter back in.
In the midst of this, we find that Kevin Spacey, so obviously Rene Russo is dying, so she's got the virus, but Kevin Spacey is way too far gone, so he's going to die. There's no way he's getting cured, so he's at the end. Rene Russo takes off her hood and she's like, "Oh, it doesn't matter, I've got it anyway."
Yeah, I've got it anyway, so it can't get any worse.
In between these scenes, as we said before we started recording this, Kevin Spacey's hair goes from ginger to dark to ginger. So I don't know whether this is a
continuity. I think it's continuity error, but still.
Poor Kevin. And
so Kevin dies holding Rene Russo's hand, and he even in his last breath, he's like, "I think Dustin has a crush. I think Sam's got a crush on you. Be nice to him." It's like, hell yeah, because that's really what it's like. He dies, but they are on the hunt now in a better way for the monkey, now that they know it's a monkey, in the Palisades area, which they keep mentioning. What's between San Francisco and Cedar Creek? The Palisades.
Wouldn't it have been better, and this is just me talking from post-edit, to make it that Kevin Spacey was some form of a love rival in this whole love triangle for Rene Russo, Kevin Spacey.
I just don't think it would have been believable.
And it would have made his death
more tragic,
more satisfying. No, it would have made it if he had been the person that came in between Rene Russo and Dustin Hoffman, and then he dies of the virus. You would have gone,
or if he'd have been, and I think this would have worked better if he'd have been sort of like in the employ of Donald Sutherland. That would have made more sense to me, because he plays a good baddie, and it would have been retribution if he'd have died, and it would have worked better, because they play him as actually quite a nice character. I mean, he is quite nice, but he's creepy. So it's creepy. Yeah,
he's superfluous. The whole thing. Dustin Hoffman doesn't need that for you because he's got Morgan Freeman.
And he's got Cuba Gooding Jr. to be his kind of like hijack friend. So he doesn't really
secret antagonist that he doesn't know about.
Yeah, and it just doesn't really. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think he should have been in cahoots with Sutherland, and I think that would have made, for me, it would have been much more satisfying to see him die that way.
He's just, when he dies, it's like,
oh no, and then
next scene you forgot, and you're like. Yeah. No one really talks about him after that. They go.
They don't say, "Oh, poor." I don't even remember his name, to be fair. So that.
Spacey. Come on, Vicky. Keep
no, the name of the freaking character. But at this point, it's worth noting, before we get into the action of hunting down the monkey, which is now called Betsy, by the way. I'm sure Marcel will not be happy about that and enact even more revenge if he could. Is that there's a scene with Donald Sutherland and General Briggs, who is his kind of general bitch boy, dog's body, basically abuse taker. And he's like, "Oh, you'd like to be general one day, would you? Well, that's not going to happen." And basically, General Briggs is just sitting there going, "You bastard, if I could get you back, I would." And this will come very good for him towards the end.
So, at this stage, we have Dustin Hoffman, Cuba Gooding Jr. on a helicopter, a miracle helicopter that doesn't need refueling.
Yeah, I know.
Continues to work throughout this period, from San Francisco.
Also, can I just say, at one point, when they're like, the Palisades, it's like they're having a lovely, like, city buzz, like, tour of the, like, overhead, like, go around. They look like they're having a wonderful time. They look like they've been at a TV station. They've talked to Mrs. Panides. They've had a great gas. It's great, and now they're on the hunt for the monkey to tranquilize it and bring it back and save the town.
They have it, and they speak to the parents, and they speak to the little girl, and they're like, "No, you just need to do this to us, and we're not going to hurt the monkey, and it's just going to go to sleep for a little bit." Where we all know it's going to get dissected to pieces.
But also, they're running out of time. Is it really the time to be like, "Right, little girl, let me very slowly explain this to you"? But basically what they do is they put the daughter as some kind of honey trap bait for her monkey boyfriend to come out of the woods, because they wouldn't come out of the woods. And Cuba Gooding Jr. is the worst sniper in the world.
Taken out of context, this scene looks ridiculous, because there's a little girl in her garden. If I was that mother,
the minute he steps on what he steps on, I'd be like, right, this is over. Fuck Cedar Creek, it's done. Like, we're not doing this. Right, let's watch it.
Oh yeah, it just looks ridiculous taken out of context. But yeah, I'll play.
Here, Betsy. Here, girl. Here, Betsy.
As he emerges from the trees, like a reverse Homer Simpson.
It just looks like he's going to shoot the little girl.
It does.
Yeah.
Thank God it's only a tranquilizer dart.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about? Marcel or Cuba?
They're running out of time. Here she goes.
He did. I mean, it's a bad gun hold. I mean, Jesus, like, he's got a weak wrist there.
He is
excellent. Here comes Marcel.
And also, they only have one bullet.
Yeah.
Is that how long tranquilizer guns work, where it's literally just one shot and that's it?
I do like the monkey getting shot face in a minute. Yeah, move your ass, Katie. Get out of the bloody way. Cuba's got to shoot.
Come on. Here, Betsy.
It's a trap, bitch.
No,
it's a trap.
So far.
Side face of the monkey is just Beautiful. I mean, like, there's so many things
No,
there.
I mean, look, no wonder that monkey kept getting booked. That is a fine monkey
It's
actor.
a fine. I mean, it's got acting chops. I mean, some actors would be envious of the skills, the emotive skills. I mean, you've got the kind of screech before the bullet or the sort of tranquilizer dart, which is like, "Bitch, you've set me up here. We had a thing," and then it's like, "Ah!" I mean, it's Hollywood movie gold. But yeah, so they've got. Now, can I just say at this point, once Marcel has had his final, he's not dead as far as we know. But you never see that bloody monkey again, ever. Wouldn't it have been better to see Marcel emerge from the hospital, like, and creep out into the woods again?
The whole ending, I thought that was terribly abrupt. The whole end of the movie, when we get there, I just thought that it needed maybe another minute or two.
Because they dragged out, and we'll talk about the helicopter scenes in a minute, they dragged this out for 20 minutes when it could have been 10. And I think that's probably what happened. Maybe they ran out of time to kind of establish the ending properly. But you'd be surprised at how many of those kind of movies from the 90s just stop. Honestly, some of the, you think there's a bit of a better ending to them, and then sometimes it's just like they're having a conversation, and then it just like, and that's it.
Just fade to black, and
yeah,
that's it.
It's very much, there's no kind of dramatic ending in a lot of these movies that you watch, which is surprising because in your head, I think sometimes that you think they're good, they kind of end dramatically, but actually often, like, think about like movies that we love, like Predator and stuff. It doesn't end dramatically. It ends with them like going, yeah, okay, anyway, that's the end of that then. And that's it. So, these kind of things, I suppose, it's a shame because up until this point, it's good fun. It's silly fun, but it is good fun. Nevertheless, everyone looks as though they're having quite a good time on it. I give it its due.
It kind of loses, as much as it had a certain movie logic, it kind of loses the movie logic. So everyone, and you're watching it and you're going, right, they've got the monkey.
Good.
They can synthesize the cure.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Really, like, albeit the bomber's been launched, it's still got another 2 hours or something to get to see.
It's a long flight in America. Like, it seems like a long way to go.
And this is where Donald Sutherland truly becomes ridiculously evil, because they've now got it. They've got the thing that
just let them fix it.
And they go, no, we're still doing the bombing, and we're gonna kill you guys. And there's this big long helicopter chase, which is it's quite entertaining, but still ridiculous. And you just have a moment in time. So basically, Cuba Gooding Jr. and Dustin Hoffman get chased for what seems about 20 minutes from attack helicopters, kind of.
And Cuba Gooding Jr., who's had about 12 hours of flight experience, manages to evade like the best in the battalion, kind of like helicopter pilots who seem to be befuddled at every move that they make. Also, I think you were going to say something about fire in the forest again. At this point.
A forest fire. They fire 2 missiles into a dense forest, and they start forest fire.
I also think, though, I forgot that he said to Cuba Gooding Jr. to do that. I was like, that's quite clever, until you actually look down and see it's just fire and there's no wreckage of any description at all. But for the other thing is, at one point they fly, after they kind of do that and they kind of get away a little bit, they fly really low to avoid radar, and they fly literally on top of a logger's like someone driving logs to one. And I just thought, how fucking scared would you be with that logger? Like, what have I done? Oh my God, this army helicopter is like kind of like buzzing me. Anyway, so they managed to evade that point, but then Operation the Sandman, which is the plane that's got the bomb on it, is still in the air and flying to its destination.
It's a big dramatic scene with the Sandman bombers and Dustin Hoffman. And this Dustin Hoffman must have loved this scene, because this is classic Dustin Hoffman, where he is just speaking into the void and trying to impassionately change someone's
don't do
ways.
Don't do it. I know you look.
But the love of God, if you don't believe it, don't do it. All this sort of stuff, and basically,
I have to say, for kind of pilots that are about to bomb a town in America, the Sandman pilots are like pretty chill. They're like, hey man, yeah, we just got a little exposition here, and they're pretty cool. Like, they are They're pretty cool, and they handle the ending quite well as well. But at this point, Donald Sutherland's still barking his orders, shouting the odds, and saying, don't disobey an order, and General Briggs is still sitting there hoping that Donald Sutherland will love him, and never getting the requiting of the love that he so desires from him. It still gets taught to you like crap. But yeah, and a good point that Dustin Hoffman does make is we've just got a serum. Oh, sorry. Before this, bear in mind they already have delivered the monkey to Cedar Creek, so they go back up in the freaking helicopter again.
That's right.
That's the thing we've got.
Because
so
they think that they've stopped the bombing run, and then Cuba Gooding Jr. goes, "It's still coming."
Can I just say? Right. So there's a thing. Right. There's two things here. One, the monkey gets delivered. Within about 2 seconds, there's a fucking antidote. Right. That doesn't happen. That takes months for that to happen. So that Rene would be dead. Two, I was like, Operation Warp Speed, more like Operation Warp Speed on steroids. It's like insane. So Cuba Gooding Jr., Kevin Spacey's dead. So as far as I'm aware, Cuba Gooding Jr. is the only one that can synthesize that vaccine, right, to cure everybody. Right. So he synthesized a vaccine that cures a deadly disease, right, that's killed everybody so far. He also is listening to transmissions of like military planes going, I just heard a transmission on the wireless that Operation Sandman's still a go-go. And it's like, what? He's a man for every season, Cuba Gooding Jr. I mean, you got to give him his due. He's everywhere in this movie. I mean, so they go back up to have the final face-off with the Sandman plane.
Well, it's the only point at which Donald Sutherland's mask of evilness sort of cracks. So basically, Dustin Hoffman's talking to the bombers, but they are now ignoring him, going,
yeah, that's right. It's chatter.
And Morgan Freeman basically goes onto the radio and says, the only way that you can be stopped is if he gets in your way and stops the bombing run. And then Donald Sutherland goes, why did you just tell them that? And he's like, oh, you little...
you son of a bitch. No, exactly. I mean, well done, Morgan. But I mean, Jesus Christ. And then at that point, we have our helicopter face-off where we're not moving. And so actually, give the Sandman guys their due. They fly past, close miss, but they fly past and you think, oh no, it's all over. The bomb gets released, but you don't see where it's actually flopping over. And then you realise that it's actually been delivered into the water. So right now, I did say at this point, well, the fish in Cedar Creek will certainly be getting a wake-up call this morning. Just swimming about, minding their own fucking business, and then it's the fish apocalypse. Thanks very much. Cheers for that, Dustin. Excellent. But yeah, so after that, obviously Donald Sutherland is like, you've insubordinate, you did. And then that's when Morgan Freeman at this point decides to grow some balls and actually relieve him of his duties. And who's waiting to help Morgan Freeman out with this?
That's right, Briggs.
General Briggs, baby. And even, I mean, I think that Donald Sutherland must know that the feelings are strong there, because even he says, Briggs, you must be loving this. And I'm like, yeah, he fucking is. So he gets taken off and arrested for whatever, misleading the president and who knows what else.
Right. At least Donald Sutherland gets his comeuppance after Eye for an Eye, where no one gets their comeuppance. It's nice to actually see a nice build into an evil character getting their dues. So at least there was
he got his comeuppance. I mean, his comeuppance would have been better if he'd have died of the actual virus, but hey-ho, that was for Kevin Spacey to have to suffer through, even though he wasn't ostensibly a villain in this movie. But then, so this is where it kind of like it's the ending, and it's a bit like there's a run out of things to do. So basically the serum has given everybody selective magic amnesia. So now Dustin and Rene are back in love and willing to give the marriage another try.
That's such a weird... No, but it's like a maybe. Maybe we will try again. It's kind of a case of they link the virus to their wedding, which is always a lovely analogy.
Winner. But I suppose they are epidemiologists. But also, the whole thing I was thinking was, where are your fucking dogs? They've been in those kennels for fucking weeks now with you bloody fighting like bloody Mrs. Perfides and bloody helicopter face-offs. Get to your dogs. But I think it's kind of like, it's like The Virus is the ultimate in marriage counselling. It's sort of like follow the Marcel method and you can fix your failing marriage in a jiffy. All it needs is a global pandemic.
A near-death experience, probably.
Yeah, well, I guess so. But thoroughly enjoyable in the worst and best possible ways in places, and actually zipped along for 2 hours, and you didn't really notice that it was 2 hours long, and you could have done. I mean, last week I think that the movie we watched with John Travolta was an hour and a half, and it felt like days. So this is very different. And if you haven't ever seen Outbreak, it's on Netflix until the 9th of April, and it is definitely worth your time, even just to laugh at the various different things.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. But yeah, just that, just finishing off that ending so weird. They have this conversation, as we were saying, of, oh, let's give it another go, and then it just fades to black, and that's it. Because you're thinking that, or maybe they'll return home with the dogs. So
Thank you.
And they'll go, well, I still, I love you. We got through all this.
Yeah.
No. And maybe Kevin Spacey plaque on the wall. Or
we love you, Kevin. Yes,
but it does none of that, and it just kind of ends very much on not a question mark, but just that was a finish, ending Dutch. So
that's why I wanted Marcel to sort of like a monkey paw to just come around a door as though it's going to be Outbreak 2, Marcel's Revenge. See?
Outbreak 2, Electric Boogaloo.
But I really enjoyed watching it again. I think I need to leave it for a little bit now before I watch it again. Hopefully we don't have another pandemic for me to watch it in anniversary of. But definitely good, and much more, I guess, I watched both Contagion and this at the same time, and although Contagion is much more accurate and very but scarily so, and it's a good movie, it's got good people in it, very good actors all round, and it was very, very good, quite dramatic. I enjoyed Outbreak way, way more because it's just much more of a popcorn movie, I guess. And when you're in that kind of mood, you don't really want to see something that's so eerily close to life, that's so scary that you're thinking, okay. Outbreak does it in a kind of very popcorn 90s way. So great piece of escapism. If you can overlook some of the glorious plot holes and Patrick Dempsey's very greasy hair.
Outbreak then. That was a really enjoyable one, and it certainly takes you down memory lane for a lot of those 90s movies. And I think it's perhaps the direction of travel for me and Vicky to explore, because I think those 90s movies, whilst ridiculous, they certainly have their comedic moments as well. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we've got plenty more to come. Thank you. Bye.